Screenless. Hello and welcome to another episode of Creative Cuppa. I'm Gareth Davies, a media composer and podcaster, and in each episode I speak to someone working in the many fantastic creative industries. Although this week I chat with two people, that's a first, and a real international feel this time too. Svea from Canada and Jozefien from Belgium, they met and worked together in San Francisco, and now Jozefien is living in Belgium again and Svea in Arctic Norway. It's bordering on a world tour, that, isn't it? So, Svea and Jozefien will have a brand new podcast all about creativity out soon, and it was a real joy to spend time with them. And now you can spend some time with them too. If you have your cuppa at the ready, here we go. Svea Vikander, culture journalist and former counsellor to creative people, and Jozefien Buydens, textile designer, together now hosts of the imminent Art Crush podcast. Welcome to Creative Cuppa.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
You're very welcome. You are both hosts of Art Crush on KALX 90.7 FM Berkeley, and you're making a podcast called Art Crush, but that started there when you were both based there in San Francisco. How did all that come about?
Yeah, I mean, the show that we had in the Bay Area was called Art Crush. Our podcast is Art Crush International. So we're taking many of the same ideas, but making new content and focusing not just on artists in California, but artists around the world. And we're going into their studio spaces, at least before the pandemic we were, and visiting them and finding out what creative processes they use to solve usually the problem of not having enough space. So artists are always in unusual and interesting working spaces, working studios. And it's really interesting to see how they figure out how they're going to work within them.
Yeah, as told on your pilot episode with Sophia Shu. And you go and visit Sophia in her space, but you give a running commentary on the journey there and throughout the visit, which I thought was really natural and it was really good because it was like I was on the trip with you. Was it a conscious choice to do that, to take your listeners on the journey? It's like a journey of discovery, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which creativity is. So was that a conscious decision?
Yeah, I think it was, right, Svea? I think it adds to the show to take everyone with us on this journey because oftentimes our trip to the studio sometimes was very adventurous. In our episode with Sophia Shu, I was carrying a glass bottle and we were both wearing heels. And San Francisco is very hilly. And so it was actually just a hilarious thing. And so it's really fun to add that to the episode because then people really have this impression of what we're doing and how we look.
Ridiculous.
Ridiculous, yes.
I think it showed a real human side as well because there's this constant, I don't know about you, but I find there's this constant need on social media to look a certain way and to be a certain way and to portray yourself in a very professional light. And we're all human. I think that really comes across, as well as your friendship.
Yeah.
I think that comes across really well as well.
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, I have a lot of fun with Jozefien. And I think that that's kind of part of the joy of making a show together is that Jozefien is my friend as well as my colleague. And so I like that we can invite other people into our friendship and to come with us and to go on adventures and see things. Because that's one of the things that I like about doing this show. Of course, the content is great. It's great to see artists and so on. But also just to hang out with Jozefien. So everybody else gets to hang out with Jozefien too.
Oh, that's so sweet.
That should be in the podcast description. That's lovely. Yeah.
What's the female equivalent of a bromance?
Oh, no.
A fromance.
A fromance. It doesn't sound right.
No.
A womance.
A womance. Yeah.
Womance. Of course, you don't live in San Francisco now, either of you. Jozefien, you've moved to Belgium. Svea, you've moved to Norway, where it is very cold. And so what prompted those moves? And are you settled in? What are you doing individually?
I moved back with my husband from Berkeley, like a few months before Svea did, so like the move was especially because my husband, his job got relocated back to Belgium. So that's kind of like the reason why we moved back here. But so since then, I have been teaching in college. So I've been teaching art history, and then since a few months ago, I started teaching a course which is textile history. Very interesting and lots of fun because I get to hang out with art students, which is really nice. And so, also when we just moved back, I got pregnant. So I've been raising a baby the last year so far. So that's been taking lots of my time. But now we're also working on Art Crush International, which I find personally, I think this is really fun. So I'm very happy it's happening. Art Crush International, yeah.
That's wonderful. And how about you, Svea?
I mean, I'm Canadian and my family is Swedish. And so living in California I was kind of always a foreigner there. But I'm doing a master's at the Sami Alaskola here up in the very far north of Norway, Arctic Norway. So my husband and we decided that we wanted to kind of show our kids some other parts of the world and to live in an Indigenous community and to learn an Indigenous language. So we are up here. Wow. Yeah, it's great. So the language that we're learning is a Finno-Ugric language, which means it's not at all related to, an Indo-European language like French, English, German, not at all related, completely different language family. And it's called Northern Sami. The people who live up here are the Sami people. So that's what I'm doing up here, as well as Art Crush International. And it's very cold. Get to wear a lot of fur coats.
Do the Northern Lights make an appearance?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're so amazing. So amazing.
Oh,
It's quite, it's probably once a week that you can see them outside.
Wow.
Yeah. It's really incredible. It's a very, I kind of want to use the word unearthly, but that's obviously a very Western-centric way of looking at things.
Yeah.
But it does feel like a kind of a peak ecstatic experience to live here on a daily basis.
Well, you can see how that kind of Norse mythology came about. You only have to look up in the sky, really.
Yeah, it's like magic. It's just you've never seen anything like it, especially in the days before visual media, before TV or movies. It must have been something very intense to see.
Yeah. What's your plan for the podcast then? When will you're launching soon, aren't you?
So we're launching on March 22nd.
Okay.
And at that time, we will have probably 6 episodes already up on, whatever podcast network or app people use. And those are episodes with, adventures from all over the world and things that we've done, gone into artist studios. They're each about 30 minutes long. So, good for like a morning commute. And if we're commuting by then, I guess we won't be.
Walk around the park.
Exactly. A leisurely doing of the dishes, the morning dishes. And so we also have we have an Instagram account where we're chronicling the behind the scenes. So if anybody wants to follow us there, they can go to artcrush_international on Instagram. And I'll continue to update that as well. And Jozefien, we have a website.
Yes. The website will launch soon as well. And so you can visit it at artcrushinterntional.com. And so there you'll be able to reach out to us because we also have like a beautiful email address, which is contact@artcrushinterntional.com. And you'll also be able to sign up for our newsletter. And so there will also be like, like more information about like the episodes we're launching, etc. So you also have visual material of, the podcast and like the artists we're interviewing. So that should be like a
it's
good thing.
Funny, isn't it? You mentioned, Svea, about 6 episodes will be up already. It's weird in the podcasting world, isn't it? Because you have to have time for these things to drip feed through to the different podcast hosts, don't you? So to have all that content there is really important.
At the beginning it is really important.
And of course, I've seen your Instagram And I know you've made a slight scheduling error with your launch because it's somebody's birthday that day as well, isn't it?
That's not a scheduling error. That's my mother's birthday.
It is. So happy birthday to Svea's mum that day.
I mean, I hope that she will appreciate this birthday present, which is me launching my project on her birthday.
That's so kind of you.
Yeah. She's so far away. It's not like I'm not going to take her out for breakfast because I'm doing Art Crush. It's because I live in the Arctic.
I know.
So my sister has to do it.
That's fantastic. Well, this has been wonderful. I wish you all the very best with the launch of the podcast. But
Thank
for
you.
now,
Yeah.
Svea Vikander and Jozefien Buydens, thank you for joining me for a cuppa.
Thank you, Gareth.
Thanks again to Svea and Jozefien, and don't forget to subscribe to Art Crush International podcast before the 22nd of March. All of their links are in the show notes, so go and check them out. As always, if you enjoyed today's chat, a rating and review would be wonderful, and you can check out how at www.creativecuppa.uk. You can also follow podcast updates on social media using @ScreenlessPod, where you'll see things like having a real cuppa in the Creative Cuppa Facebook group on a Friday morning. Very nice too. The other podcast from Screenless, Making a Soundtrack, and more. Again, those links are at the website, so easy peasy. Come and connect. Let's have a creative chat. Until next time then, thanks for joining me for a cuppa.